I want to talk for just a few moments. I know it's been, what week number is this? Is this week number 12 doing church online? I quit counting. It was easier to, I only have 10 fingers, so, that's my math right there, right? I want to have a conversation about COVID reopening, regathering. I think this week it was really easy to forget that we had this little thing called the global pandemic happening as well, just a couple crises that everybody's trying to manage through. We've moved pretty deliberately, pretty intentionally. I'll say it this way, we moved pretty slowly, intentionally, as it relates to the pandemic. We've been meeting with Church Online since March 15th, and you've been awesome. Church family, you've been awesome in your engagement and your participation. I'm so proud of you, and I'm so thankful for you. I misspoke earlier. I have one thing I want to show you. It's a picture of a note that I received in the mail this week here at the church. Can we go ahead and throw that up on the screen? It reads this: Dear staff at Real Life, it does not feel the same doing church in our living room. When will church open again? Seeing you on TV does not feel the same. I miss you all. Signed, your friend, Madeline Witham. Isn't that like the most awesome, precious, oh yeah, like I was a mess when I saw this the other day. And Madeline, man, I tell you what, I think we can go ahead and take that off the screen. I'll tell you what, I'll look right in the camera and tell you, I think every single person at church is asking that exact same question. And I'm so sorry that you've all had to watch me on TV every single week. Even I don't like doing that, okay? I want to tell you, I agree with you. I agree with you 100%. It's not the same. There's something powerful, there's something special, there's something supernatural about when God's people come and gather together in his name. Scripture tells us that the Lord inhabits the praises of his people. There's something that happens when we come together in this room to gather in his name. But I just want to speak kind of plainly and just kind of pull the curtain back, whatever expressions, show you how we're making the sausage, however you want to say that. And I'm going to be just a little bit more real with you than I might normally be on a typical Sunday morning. I feel like I'm pastoring multiple congregations right now, and here's what I mean by that. I've got part of the congregation that is saying it's time to gather right now, and I have another part of the congregation that's saying, no, let's wait. I have part of the congregation that's saying we need to absolutely be wearing masks, and I have another part of the congregation that's saying masks are a travesty, no masks. I have a part of the congregation that's saying let's go back to normal and everybody sing just like we always do, and I have another part of the congregation that believes that that's a kind of a dangerous thing to do right now, so we shouldn't be all singing when we're meeting together. And, honestly, the survey results they weren't surprising, but they weren't super helpful. You know why? Because it was almost exactly 50-50 on every question that we asked. It's not surprising. It's been a hard time. And so the board, the staff, I've got an amazing directional team with some of our lead board members with Jamal Gilbert and John Vaughn. We have spent countless hours, emails and texts, and with all of us trying to manage these different crises in all of our circles, we haven't spent as much face-to-face time, but thankful for technology to be able to do what we've been doing, right? We've spent countless hours reading, researching, praying, having conversations with other pastors. I talk to pastor friends all the time. We're paying attention more now than ever to what churches in other states are doing. It's really been a fascinating time. And like Madeline, I know that each of you are waiting for word from us on what Real Life is going to do to gather together again. I've started using the phrase regather because reopen has some different connotations, and we've always been doing church. Our bias from day one was to meet. Our bias from day one was to gather. We've just been doing it differently. So what does it look like to regather, right? So there's an awesome reality in all of this, is that the Holy Spirit speaks to each church differently. We see in the book of Revelation, John wrote 7 letters to 7 different churches that all had different things going on. And the reality is each church is responding to this regathering differently. And so our role as your church leadership, my role as your pastor, has been to actively try and discern what the Holy Spirit would have for us here at Real Life. And so just a couple of quick things. Number one, please, with everything within you, please don't compare what we do at Real Life with other churches. Because what's right for Real Life may not be necessarily what's right for another church. At the same right, please don't compare what another church is doing and say that's wrong versus what we're doing is right or vice versa. Okay? Everyone, we're all just trying to discern this for our own church families. We have to discern what's right for us in our ministry context, for our ministry model, for the things that we value. We have to discern what's right. Some churches are gathering together. In the state of Minnesota, today is the first Sunday that some churches could gather. Some churches have chosen to do that. Other churches, like ours, we haven't. Some are reopening next week. One of my best pastor friends, they're regathering starting next Sunday. Some are waiting even longer. We learned of a church in Cottage Grove that we've learned a lot of things from. They've actually made the decision not to regather until school reopens in the fall. Each church is trying to figure this out for themselves. The trap is comparison. How many times have we said that? The trap is comparison. And what does comparison do? Comparison kills joy. So let me just share with you some of the things that we're considering. Like I said, I'm pulling back the curtain. And I'm going to show you, just try and explain to you in a few short minutes. Thanks for the time. But I want to just share with you all of the things that we're having to think about and what does regathering look like. So bear with me. The current recommendations is that churches can start to regather at 25% of their capacity. There's some question for us at Real Life Church. Our auditorium seating capacity at max is about 400. We're actually asking the city of Roseville. The fire marshal actually decides what our capacity is, and so we're trying to determine exactly what that is. I went looking through all of our files and our former pastor's files, our board files, trying to find an official document that says that, and we don't have it. That's an important thing to have, right? So we're going to get that from the fire marshal. So our capacity, let's just use our seating capacity, 400, right? The math is easy. So 25% of 400, if my math, 10-finger math is right, is 100 people. With all of our volunteers needed to make a touchless service, and that's what it's going to be, is the doors will get propped open, you sit down, and you leave. That's what church is going to be like in phase one. With all the volunteers needed to make that happen, so we need a team helping people park and socially distance in the parking lot, greeters at the doors to make sure no one's touching the doors, greeters in the lobby to get you and flow you into the auditorium for seating, and then getting back out, cleaning, worship, production, staff. It's going to take around 20 to 25 people to quote unquote run the service, which means we have about 75 seats left over. Our average Sunday attendance before COVID was about 250 people per week, which is awesome. It's awesome having this room wall-to-wall people. That means if even half of you come back, that means we're doing 2 services every week. Think about that. If only half of the people that have been coming before COVID come back, that means at 75 people, we have to at minimum do 2 services to get everybody back, which means we also have to clean every surface in here in between services. The strength of our church, that's just some logistics. The strength of our church is our connection to each other. And we saw that this Friday night when we did our pop-up prayer meeting on Friday night. It was heartbreaking to be so close to each other. And for the most part, some of you are, I'm looking at you in the camera because you know that you didn't socially distance properly. That's funny. We're laughing in the room, but maybe that didn't translate. But I could see it as I walked from car to car to try and connect with every family and every group, every person that came. It was killing us to not be able to be together. Like I saw family after family in tears that they could see people but not be with people. The strength of our church is our connection. And listen, one of our core values is that we're family. As a family church, one of our best strengths is our kids programming. In the early phases of these gatherings, we won't be able to offer any kids programming at all. And guess what? Kids don't social distance. They just don't. Kids play, they run, they group up, they play Pokemon in the corner, they run up and down the aisle, they crawl underneath the stage. They're kids, that's what they do. So I'm weighing the tension of having all of our families with young kids, 0 to whatever age you want to put on it, have to be in the room together, but having to enforce social distance guidelines. And I don't think our young kids are going to understand that. And speaking of social distance guidelines, what does that mean for adults? Well, our posture from day one has been to work with and honor local, state, and national leaders from the day this started. And so far in our board conversations, this consensus has been that we feel strongly that we would honor and choose to follow all of the social distance guidelines. So if we decide that, that means masks for everyone, no congregational singing, and then taking out and rearranging all of these chairs. That means that anyone who comes to service will be ushered to a seat that at minimum is 6 feet from another group or another person, and then be asked to leave right away. There's no connection. There's no lobby time. There's no high fives like we do at the beginning of messages. There's no coffee. So I have to ask myself this question, and I don't mean this in a harsh way at all. I'm just asking the honest question. Is that really a valuable gathering of church family? Or let me ask it a different way. Maybe this will stick better. Does that kind of in-person gathering offer a better experience and connection with God and each other for everyone? And I have to also ask myself this. One of our board members sent me an email after our last board meeting, and it's a great, great question. Am I intentionally putting a barrier between church family members because of differing opinions on social distancing? Am I intentionally putting a barrier in between church family members? Am I intentionally causing division? That's the plainest way to say this. Am I intentionally causing division if we make the decision to require masks in church? I'll be honest, that's a heavy weight. But I'm thankful for an amazing group of leaders and an amazing church family. You've been so encouraging during this season. And so we've been this is what we've been processing. Can I say it this way? Since March, what was that Friday? March 13th? Because the 15th was the first? 15th, yeah, March 13th. That was the day when we decided we were going to all online services. We've been talking about this stuff every single day. Every single day. And I'm sure you've been talking and reading about this every single day. So for now, in this first phase of early reopening, we're choosing to continue to gather as a church online. We're going to observe what other churches are doing and learn from them, the churches that are going before us in this. We're going to pay attention to what they're doing to help build connection. We're going to pray, and we're going to continue to ask God what's right for real life. With these social distance guidelines that are in place, I don't know if 25% of people, because actually we're lower than that, if we're going to have, this is a big room, and 75 people, you're going to feel like you're 10 miles from the next person. I don't know if that's church. So we're going to continue to meet doing church online, church at home, for the short term. And I'm committing to you, we're going to continually reevaluate this. This isn't a decision for the entire summer like some churches have made. We're going to continually reevaluate this because this is changing all the time. Every week something is different. And so we're paying attention just like you are. But for right now, this is what's best for real life. But with these new social distance guidelines, I want to say this to you. I'd say if you're comfortable and you can offer a safe environment, I would encourage you to invite people over to your home and start meeting together. Be safe, be smart, social distance. The recommendation is wearing your mask. No potlucks. Yes, I'm talking to you right now. No potlucks, no sharing of food. Be smart, be responsible. But with these new guidelines, I think it is appropriate to start re-engaging with church family in a little bit different way. Amen. But it's just not this quite yet. The question that I keep asking is this environment, is this service, do we have the ability to offer a better experience to connect with God and each other and grow to be more like him in living rooms or in this room? And right now, I do believe it's still living rooms. So I'm wrapping up. I'm already 15 minutes beyond my normal time during this season. And I want to say thank you for sticking with me. I know you probably have a lot of questions. And I actually invite you to send us questions because on June 14th, we are going to have a virtual town hall church family meeting. June 14th at 8 p.m. It's basically going to replace what we would have done back in March with our vision night. You're going to hear from me. You're going to hear from some of our other leaders. That's a couple of Sundays away. So after a couple Sundays of observing what other churches are doing with social distancing, we'll probably have some more things to say. But I want to tell you this. June 14th, virtual town hall. It'll be on one of the online platforms where we can do some polling, where we'll be able to take some questions, where you'll be able to have some two-way conversation, because I know right now this is one-way conversation. This is a stream of consciousness from me, and we want to facilitate some conversations around that. This meeting is hopefully going to go from 8 to 9 p.m. We're choosing to do it at 8 p.m. to allow for families with young kids to put their kids to bed so that as many people as possible can participate, and we'll send you all of those details. Church, I love you. It kills me. I was crying from car to car in the parking lot the other night. It kills me that we don't get to be together in the room like we normally would. But I think church in this first phase of reopening would be so alien to how we do church, I think you'd really feel it. I think it would be a novelty. I think many of you would come the first week, and then a number of you wouldn't come after that. We know that just by the survey results, half of you don't feel comfortable coming yet. And so I feel a responsibility to minister to you in this way. And so continue to pray for me. Will you continue to pray for our church leaders? Will you pray encouragement over us? Will you pray that God would direct us, that he would guide us? Would you continue to support us? Would you continue to pray for unity, even if the church is making a decision that you might not necessarily make? I think it's key. We have to stay unified.